Okay, I've heard a few people make the argument saying that affirmative action was created with such and such intent. Well, if I saw a bee on your face and I punched you as the bee flew away, my intent was to get the bee, but you still got punched. So, it doesn't matter what the intent of a policy is, it matters how it plays out and how it actually operates. And in this case, affirmative action is not very smooth in its operations. I cannot think of the word I was saying.
Wait, didn't I just do that? It was smooth?
Yeah.
Okay. You don't think diversity to Fortune 500 is smooth?
No. Well, you can't prove that that was because of affirmative action.
This is true. Well, we'll come back to that.
This is true.
There's going to be very...
Exactly.
They basically only look at what you check off. I am black and only black. So that's the only thing I can check off. Versus somebody out here who's mixed with everything, who can put whatever they want with whatever suits them at that moment.
Take a quick step back. Now, instead of just thinking about college and college board stupid SAT where you have to check mark your ethnicity, let's start thinking about it in the wider rule of things. Business opportunities. How about those? How are we going to be affected in our business world? Is it right to have affirmative action? Let's kind of step away from schools a little bit. I mean, you guys can still make those points. Do you want to speak? Yeah.
Well, I'm going to build up with what you were starting there. So, at this point, our country is so diverse. We have so many different colors and cultures. It's ridiculous. You see white people with black people and black people with Mexicans. So there's so many races mixed into one. So now, if I'm Mexican and white, am I the majority or the minority? So if I'm a mixture of the two, what am I? So you can't really depend on someone's color to decide where to put them, because they're going to be a bunch of different things. Now, I'm a mixture of all white. I don't have any mixture, honestly, but other people will. So how can you base their color on how to choose them for a job? It's not fair, because they can be so many things. It shouldn't be based off of that.
Yeah, I just want to, say that, the way this argument is going, some people are starting to say that this, that affirmative action is the sole, decider in whether you get chosen or not. I just want to say, of course, it does play a role, but the role that it plays is actually being blown up a little bit. What matters more is your credentials, and then after that, your ethnicity. Now, you were saying something about getting punched in the face, ethnicities. That doesn't really match up here because this policy was enacted actually in the 70s to combat racism. And like I said earlier, there are still a lot of places in the United States where they kind of need this comfort cushion. Now maybe in a little while this may not be necessary, but the fact is that as of right now, while we're still fighting prejudice, it's necessary. Because maybe African Americans aren't having that much prejudice, but there are still a lot of ethnicities are. Like I myself can identify because being a post 9/11 American Muslim, there's a lot of hatred towards my people. And so I can, kind of see it that actually in Texas, they passed a law saying that, in a certain district, they passed a law saying that there can be no pro-Islamic, views taught in schools. If you're taking a pro stance on Islam, you can't teach it. So that just shows there's still a lot of racism that needs that comfort cushion. Now, regardless of what happens, maybe it does kind of, hinder, this coming together, but the fact is that that's just duality. Every law you pass is going to have a negative and a positive. We have to look for the negatives and the positives and see what outweighs it. And I think that affirmative action, its positives really do outweigh the negatives.
Alright, so I just got into college. I'm a freshman at Villanova University. Please don't put that there. It makes me uncomfortable. It's Gregory. But my college right now, it's 93% white. And say I went to UCI, I would be another Asian in the span of, 63% Asians. Oh my god. Okay, so say that. You guys think I'm Japanese or Chinese? No, it doesn't matter, because if I go there, I'm another one of those Asian faces. But then you put that into perspective of Villanova, There's nothing wrong with 93% white. There's nothing wrong with that. What's so wrong with UCI being 60% Asian when Villanova is 90%? And both of those schools do not have affirmative action. So as an American student, I don't want to be classified as an Asian American. I want to be classified as an American. That's who I am, not to be in a category of Asian Americans, just an American. So I have the same opportunities as Mayim, or where's the white guy? That's you. Who's another white person? I don't know. You guys, all of you. And then, same thing, but we're all Americans. I mean, I'm sure there are some like immigrants here, but we're all American. We all deserve the same opportunities. So it's not based on affirmative action. It's based on the admissions office. Because if you're a boss or an admissions dean, you don't want your college to be 60% Asian or 60% white. You want, or maybe no, I don't know, some of you. But you want your college to be as diverse as possible. That's why people implement that policy. It's not to like make themselves seem more diverse or more racist.
I'm a little carried away here, buddy.
But
How much did it take for your time?
my point is, we're all American. We should not be classified as Asian American, African American, Black American, White American. It doesn't matter. We all have the same opportunity.
But nobody's directly said yet. Affirmative action is great in idea and on paper, in theory, whatever, however you want to say it. But in execution, it's done very poorly.
I just want to interject, and you guys are too young, and it's a good thing. A big part of affirmative action was the male-female discrimination, and it makes me really happy. It's not even brought up anymore. Nobody would say now, oh, well, I didn't get chosen because I'm a woman. But back in the 70s, back in the days, affirmative action, not only for color, ethnicity, yada, yada, it was a lot for gender. But we don't even talk about it now. Nobody considers that anymore. So that's how much times have changed in the 30, 40 years. Just want to point that out.
Alright, I am totally against affirmative action. By the way, my name is Kurt and I'm a freshman. And because I believe that everyone should be counted as an American, not as a race. When you're going to college or going to get a job, it should be like a blind audition. No race, no gender, nothing. It should be qualifications. If they're exactly a tie, do it random, because in the end, it shouldn't be a percentage of race or a percentage like of this. It should be 100% American. And that's, yeah. America!
I think the best. I've been thinking about this over the course of the debate, and I think the best way to deal with the whole racism issue and getting people into college is do exactly what Justin said. Just eliminate the part on the college admission and when you take SATs for marking your race. Just as has been said before, you're an American. Why not be called an American, not an African American, an Asian American, or European American? You're an American citizen. So why not be judged as an American citizen and not as an individual race? Now that we're done with fantasy land, now we're done with saying that we're all Americans. Okay, let's go back to reality now. Thank you guys. Okay, now didn't I just make a point like 2 minutes ago? And everyone said that I don't have any data supporting my evidence saying that, actually affirmative action won't take a further step in diversifying the United States of America. Well, Ms. Cooley said one thing. It actually has taken action. The Equal Opportunity Clause has made a step forward. Therefore, we have to take the second step on affirmative action. We need to look at the bigger picture. We need to see that there are people that are racist. We might be in JSA sitting down here saying, you know what, it's wonderful, we should all be Americans, hold hands. We all are Americans, but we're different groups. We have different geographies, we have different cultures, we have different ethnicities. We are separated no matter how much we want to stay together. But we need to learn how to work with one another. That's the thing. But if we have some type of separation, some type of clause that says, if you want to be racist, let's kind of smack you in the face and say, no, you can only add 15% whites, 15% blacks, 15% Hispanics. And now there's this thing, okay, someone's a little less qualified. That's some BS. This is the top 15%. Usually it's divided in 15%. That means the last 1% of that 15% of each group has to battle it out. Kind of like college admissions. If you have a grade of a 4.6 or above, and you apply to UCSD, you're going to get in. They're not even going to look at your personal statement. But if you have a 4.0, you're on the bottom 15% of their bracket, therefore the bottom 1%, and you guys look battling it out playing Rochambeau. So bring out your personal statements. That's how we play in our job markets, in our college admissions, everything that we do. So let's not get out of our utopia and start talking about realism.
Why does he have no time?
What's up? I'm John. First of all, I just want to say that Cooley said that affirmative action only has to do with race. That's not necessarily true. Affirmative action, like I said, is the idea that you want to give an advantage to someone who has a disadvantage. This can mean race, culture, religion, sexual identity, etc., etc. I don't care. But let me see, you guys are all saying that, you know what, these guys have no merit, blah, blah, blah. It's not based on merit, it's based on race. That's not necessarily true. By the time you're already being considered in the top 15% of the admissions where you might even be accepted, you most likely already have merit. Race is simply a tipping factor. Doesn't mean that you're going to get it because you're Mexican, because you're black, because you're Asian. Also, yeah, okay. And keep in mind also, guys, that American colleges don't just have American students, blah, 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 blah. We have foreigners, we have people from Tokyo, foreign exchange students, etc., etc. Where do these people fall into categories? And isn't there merit in what I have to offer in terms of diversity? I have my own culture. I'm an immigrant. I come from Korea. I have a Korean culture. I have a Korean mindset that I can contribute to a college that I go to. I can be a part in something that has a broader mindset as a result of it. Is there not merit in what I have to offer in that sense? And finally, most evaluations are subjective. It's not based on numbers and, you know, like, oh, I've done this. Okay, if like in college applications, you guys go to clubs, etc. You guys say that, you guys write an essay. These aren't things that can be valued by numbers. It's not like a math problem where it's right or wrong. It's an essay. You read it and you base it on your opinion. These are subjective anyways, so you can't prevent necessarily this from happening. So why are we trying to stop something that's going to happen either way?